Startup accelerators have boomed in the last 20 years. How do you know one's the right fit for you? Today we'll talk in conversations ahead of the Introduce conference. Hey, I'm Chris Wink, the CEO and co-founder of Technically, the news organization with a community of entrepreneurs and technologists, coming to you live from a closet because construction has, much to my dismay, ruined my recording location. I am joined by far more prepared Luke Butler and Jenna Kurath from Comcast NBCUniversal, both of whom lead startup accelerators that we're going to hear more about. Luke and Jenna, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us, Chris.
Thank you.
So, absolutely. So ahead of the Introduce conference, as part of FlowTech Week presented by Comcast, Thursday, May 12th, will be in person in Philadelphia. But we're having conversations generally around building better companies. How do you grow and advance? And one theme that we at Technically have reported on for years is the idea of the explosion of startup accelerators, which have come from and are an extension of some venture capital investing and external financing. We'll get into that. We want to talk a little bit about how you found your startup founder partners, how they're making decisions about where they want to end up as an accelerator, when you guys are a fit, when you're not a fit, when there are other options. That's our plan for the next 15 minutes or so. So thanks for being here. Right. Luke, Jenna, start me off. As a starting point, when is an accelerator actually a good option for founders?
I think, just to pick up on the point that you just made on the kind of the origin of the model, Chris, and how it kind of flowed out to more traditional venture capital investing. I'll start with when it's not a good fit. If you're looking at an accelerator to raise purely from a fundraising perspective, you probably shouldn't do it. There are more efficient, effective, and frankly better deals for you as a founder to raise money outside of that model. I think when it makes sense is, one, if there are big questions you have about the business. So if you're still trying to figure out the product market fit, if you, particularly with accelerators that have partners with them, if you want to test your hypothesis against a potential end customer, then that makes sense. And Jenna can speak to this as well for the SportsTech program. If there are partners to the accelerator that you see as customers of yours, and you think that those partners can provide guidance and help shape the company and ultimately become customers. I think we've had a number of companies come through the Lift Labs accelerator, which kind of cuts across the entire Comcast NBCUniversal. It's around media, entertainment, and connectivity. There have been companies that have come into that program where, through meeting with and working with teams in our business, the trajectory of their company has materially changed. So if you see those partners as being able to be almost kind of co-founders in your business and help you shape it as you grow, then I think it's probably a right model for you. And Jenna probably has some thoughts based on the range of partners that we have through the SportsTech program.
I couldn't agree more. When you look at SportsTech, we could have just played with the assets within our portfolio, NBC Sports and Sky Sports. We own the Philadelphia Flyers, Wells Fargo Center. We have the Golf Channel. So if you're looking for access into what's already a pretty tough industry to crack into, that's a huge playground right there. But we decided to make it a little bit more impactful for startups coming through the program and brought in external sports partners. So all intentionally chosen to build off of our media rights and our sponsorship investments. So we have NASCAR, we have WWE, PGA Tour, and 3 Olympic teams, USA Swimming, Ski and Snowboard, as well as USA Cycling. And so it gives you an opportunity, going back to what Luke said about, can you find a commercial customer at the end of the day? If you see yourself ultimately, they're on your dream team of customers and clients that you serve, this gives you unique access to those decision makers, those leaders that can help shape your business, help you sort of validate that you aren't building your business on a set of assumptions that could really derail the success of what you're doing. And I think at the end of the day, while I agree wholeheartedly, it is not the most efficient vehicle to raise funds, it certainly is helpful when you have a number of high-profile customers to go back to investors and say, look, I have tangible product market fit.
Actually, say a bit more. I think this distinction you guys are making is interesting. Because I think a lot of venture financing would say if I'm at seed stage or even earlier, I'm giving dollars to help you figure out product market fit or test assumptions. Say a bit more about if I'm trying to decide, am I raising a little bit of money and staying in house, or am I going to accelerator program? What's that distinction about when is the accelerator best for me?
I do think that's a great distinction. When we're choosing companies, we're choosing ones that we think will have a strategic fit to the business. So we're actually pairing them up with commercial advisors, subject matter experts across our businesses. And we're really having an opportunity to test and pilot and experiment with that technology. Gives us an early lens on what we could license, acquire, integrate into our business. And again, if you have an assumption that there is a product or a market need, and you aren't validating that with really deep customer discovery, that can derail your success of building a revenue sustainable business. So better to eliminate those assumptions and build in partnership to find where that end state of value is.
I agree with Jenna on there's the strategic fit, strategic partnerships angle with a company like Comcast or kind of any of our partners. And then I think there's also something about just the structure and the model of an accelerator. It's typically a 3-month program. It's incredibly intensive. Many founders are, they come into the program with a business, with customers, and so they're running their business and trying to go through this program with 10 or 11 other founders building their companies. And for that, you really need to be clear about what you want to get out of it. There are companies, we're generally working with early stage founders, but within that, there's a lot of variety in terms of where the companies are. And so some of them are really trying to figure out the product market fit and what kind of approach to market is best for them. Some of them have that and they just see us as a big first enterprise client. And then some of them are really just trying to get ready to raise money and make sure that the company is in the best position to go and raise money. And so you have to really be ready and willing to commit to that 3 months, to give it your all, to be clear about what you want to get out of it. Because we've seen in the past with the companies that have gone through our programs, it's an accelerator. It will make things go faster. Sometimes those things are good, and it helps you bring the company forward and advance. And sometimes they're bad, and it exposes weaknesses in the vision or the product or the team. We've had companies where the accelerator put the pressure on the team and helped expose that the founders weren't necessarily the right fit to go forward. And they were able to address that quickly, and now the companies have become much more successful. So you have to kind of commit to that intensity, that time-boxed program, and know what you want to get out of it. I think that's where it's slightly different from just taking money from a traditional early stage investor.
Accelerator programs have blossomed in the last 20 years. There are different categories now, at least from us reporting, and technically I associate some being heavily geographically tied, or at least be part of overall economic development strategy. Some are very tied to an industry. You guys represent a corporation that has partnered with outside entities. Just talk to me a little bit about how varied are accelerator programs, how you guys view what ones are best for which companies. Do you have any overall sense of that?
I think broadly that you've kind of got the right categories there, Chris. There are general accelerators where the cohorts tend to be very varied. You can have companies in a variety of different sectors, and they're all working towards their own goals. I think selfishly, what's more interesting is when you have some amount of consistency and alignment among the founders, and there is a partner at the table that can really help shape in a very focused way what the founders are trying to get out of the program. I'll also say that there are examples of programs run by corporations where it's frankly a bit of a PR exercise. It's kind of like, we're going to sponsor this. It's a bit at arm's length. They just kind of run off to the side and they get to say that they did it. I think what we've heard consistently from founders is the programs that are most successful and beneficial are the ones where the executives from the corporations are really rolling up their sleeves and working side by side with the founders and there's a genuine intent. It's not just doing it because it's cool to work with startups. There's a genuine intent to find the next big technology or product that our business is going to work with. And I think that's what, that's a kind of a barrier or a bar that we have for anyone internally that wants to participate is, are you serious? And do you see this as an opportunity to find companies that you really want to work with? And that, I think that's how we've been able to differentiate the program. And I know Jenna has the same kind of criteria when it comes to the partners that she brings on for SportsTech.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to look too at what are the strategic investment areas, because you're going to be joining a cohort with other founders who are building amazing technology as well. I love the serendipity of what can happen when a company that is in media and entertainment and a different one that's in venue and event innovation and combine their technologies can create a double plus sort of effect in terms of the type of fan experience they can create. And so they're learning from one another. We had a great example of this within our cohort. Two of our founders, wait a minute, your text-based technology, that could allow us to open up completely different go-to-market strategy that avoids some of the custom types of business arrangements they were making previously. So I think it's you want to be able to. Demo days are a great opportunity to see, well, where did they start and where did they end in their journey in that 3 months? Because Luke is right, it is a pressure cooker, that 3 months. It will push every element of your business as it should, because you're going to emerge that much stronger.
The evolution of accelerator programs are an interesting history. We watched as mid-20th century venture capital evolves, corporate venture arms pop up 60s, 70s, 80s, very similar to what you said, Luke. Some were somewhat throwaways. There were small departments. Then as venture financing advanced in the 90s, big long tail bets in and around tech and software enabled work blossom. And in the early 2000s, this return to this constant question of governance comes back. And in a lot of the VC literature, there's often this idea of when are you making bets? When is the governance the added value? And accelerator programs are kind of built on this logic that it's not just the financing, but it's governance, it's supports, it's pooling resources that will help give additional value add. And I think that is the basket of goods that every accelerator is going to fit on, whether it's good or not. To your point, Luke, you can accelerate good, you can accelerate bad. That looks like how a founder has to pick where they're going to go. So let's say the founder does think it's the right time for them to go in. They decided that an accelerator is what they want. They want that intense pressure. They want that a lot of resource. What are some of the decisions that should go into how should they pick? I have these like college pamphlets, like I'm picking college all over again, and I'm trying to decide what are some of the key reasons that I should decide against what accelerator I should apply for.
Jenna, do you want to go first?
I'll answer that through the lens of SportsTech, because I do think that the Sports Partner Consortium is a different aspect of it. You have an opportunity to validate and test your technology across a unique spectrum of sports. You're able to get access into a very difficult ecosystem to break into from a sports standpoint. And the opportunity within those 3 months of the program itself, but well beyond that, to prove out that what you're building has merit in the marketplace, and you can earn those commercial deals out of it. So when we're choosing companies coming in, our first lens is, are they innovating in one of our 8 strategic investment areas? The second is, they need to have 2 or more or 3 of the 10 partners in the consortium that are all vying to use that technology to solve an innovation gap or a challenge that they're dealing with right now. The last or the next in that is, do we have line of sight on pilots and proof of concepts that we can do in the program and beyond that is going to make an impact in a number of areas within our business? That gives it a little bit more substance, and it keeps our skin in the game as well, to really make sure we're testing all the avenues of value. And then the last is, we're always picking founder first, technology and product second. So we're really looking for founders that are coachable. They should have a really strong conviction in their vision, their product, what they're building, but an openness to asking tough questions, challenging assumptions, and really listening to what customers want.
Jenna, that all great, but it sounds that's how you guys pick. I'm curious if I'm the founder, what should go into my thinking about whether it's sports tech, or there's also this economic development group that runs an accelerator in my city, and there's also this one that is, about veteran founders, and I'm a veteran. Like, I have a few different niches. What do you think I should be prioritizing or deciding on how I go? Make
You
my bet?
absolutely, as a founder, look at all the avenues of value that you bring to the table and that will help you grow your business. I think Luke said it best, that at the end of the day, you've got to get something out of this. You're investing 3 months while you're running your business. And so if you can see that you have a home with different partners you can work with that you ultimately want as customers at the end of the day, then I think you are finding yourself in a program that can help you build that revenue sustainable business.
And I think in many ways, the founders are probably asking themselves the same questions that we are. Is there a strategic fit for me with this business? Do I think that this big corporation, one, is really committed and in it for the right reasons, and two, will they really materially impact the trajectory of my business? And then the third point is the one that Jenna made around team. We're looking at founders that we can place bets on, that we know, or we want to believe that even if the current vision or the current roadmap doesn't work out, that this team will be able to figure it out. I would hope that the founders are also looking at us, that Jenna and I and our colleagues on the startup engagement team, and just the rest of the people that they get to work with, and think, like, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all humans, and we have to kind of work together. And, like, do I want to work with these people? Do I believe in them, that they're committed to this? And the thing that we emphasize with our program is, it's not just a 3-month program and then you're kind of off and we don't really see you again. We work with companies, years after the program, and in many cases, it's because of the program and some of the things that they've then explored that they're better placed afterwards to work with us. And so I talk to the founders from all of our previous cohorts on a regular basis, and we're still working with many of them. So you're kind of hitching your wagon to a group of people and a company, and that goes both ways. We're asking ourselves that about the startup team, and they should be asking themselves that about us too.
I think a great lens for the founder to answer that question, is this the right fit for me? Reach out to the other companies that have gone through the program before. There's no better way to really dive deep in understanding, what did you gain out of this? If you had it to do over again, would you still invest that 3 months of your time? Would you do this? I think that is one of the greatest services you can do to yourself, to make sure that this is a program that is not for theater, but truly for helping you grow your business.
That's well said. Luke, Jenna, thanks for the guidance. We'll be sure to drop some links both to the SportsTech and the Lift Labs program specifically, and some additional research that Technically has done around picking your own accelerator. I believe right here is a link to additional videos from the Introduced conference. We'll see you in person in Philadelphia on Thursday, May 12th, and the full spread of editorials there. Jenna, Luke, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you guys soon.